My boyfriend refused to buy a ramp for my fragile dachshund until a vet visit, a surprise twist, and one very chaotic Frenchie changed everything. When my boyfriend and I started dating almost a year and a half ago, we were both completely new to serious relationships. Everything about it felt fresh and confusing and a little scary, but in the best kind of way. We were figuring it out together, learning what it meant to really care for someone and, more importantly, how to show it. A few months into our relationship, I got lucky. A tiny, wiggly, cinnamon-colored mini dachshund who pretty much stole my heart the moment I saw him. He was this wriggly, affectionate bundle of joy with short legs, a long body, and those big expressive eyes dachshunds are known for. I had wanted another dog for a long time, ever since my first dachshund passed. That loss had shattered me in ways I hadn't expected, especially because it came with a heavy load of guilt. See, I hadn't been educated enough back then. I didn't know that dachshunds are especially prone to back problems. Their long spines and short legs make them vulnerable, more than most people realize. I hadn't known that jumping off a bed or even climbing stairs could, over time, do serious damage. But I learned the hard way. I watched my old boy struggle, saw the pain in his movements, and carried that guilt with me even after he was gone. So when I brought Lucky home, I swore I would do better. I made a promise to myself and to him. He'd have ramps, padded steps, soft landings, and the kind of protection my first dachshund never had. I wasn't going to risk putting him through that kind of pain. Not again. My boyfriend has always been supportive of me and Lucky. He thinks Lucky is adorable, though he often jokes about how spoiled he is. Still, he respects my rules, no roughhousing, no stares, always gentle. And then recently, he decided he wanted a dog of his own. I thought it was sweet. He's great with animals, and it made me smile to think of Lucky having a little buddy to play with. Just a few days ago, he brought home a French bulldog puppy, also about Lucky's age. Chunky little guy, full of snorts and mischief. I could already see them causing chaos together. It felt like the start of a new chapter for us, like we were building something bigger together, even if it was just in small ways. Since the beginning, I'd been talking about getting a ramp for his bedroom. His bed is tall, like really tall, and I didn't want Lucky jumping on and off of it every time we were there. My boyfriend had said he'd take care of it. "Let me get my dog first," he said. "Then I'll get the ramp. Since it's my place, I'll handle it." I appreciated that. It felt like a gesture of respect. So I waited. Now here we are. The dog is home. The need for the ramp is immediate. And suddenly, he's changed his tune. He started talking about stairs. Stairs. At first I thought he was joking. I mean, surely he remembered everything I had said, everything I had explained. I've been pretty passionate about it, maybe even a bit obsessive, but for a good reason. And besides, stairs are exactly what we're trying to avoid. I mean, they're cute for Instagram videos, sure, but they're not safe for my dog. It's not even a question in my mind. It's a hard no. Tonight, we were sitting with his parents after dinner. We were all on the couch, the puppy snoozing in his lap and Lucky curled up next to me, when his mom casually brought it up. "So," she said, "when are you going to order those stairs for the bedroom?" I froze for a second, my hand resting on Lucky's back. He stirred a little, sensing the shift in my body. My boyfriend just sort of laughed and said something like, "Yeah, I'll look into it this weekend." Like it was no big deal. Like we'd already agreed. I didn't say anything in front of his mom. I didn't want to start something in front of her, but inside, I was steaming. We never agreed to stairs. In fact, I'd made it pretty clear that I was against them. And now it felt like he'd not only dismissed my concerns but gone ahead and involved his family in it too, as if it were a done deal. Afterward, when we were alone, I tried to bring it up calmly. I reminded him, again, why stairs aren't safe for Lucky. I told him I thought we were on the same page, that we had an understanding. He didn't get angry or anything, but he also didn't seem to take it seriously. He just shrugged and said something like, "It's not that big of a deal. He'll be fine." And that stung. Because to me, it is that big of a deal. It's not just about a ramp or a set of stairs. It's about trust. About being heard. About the things I carry that he doesn't fully understand, like the guilt from my first dachshund, the promises I've made, and the deep fear I feel every time Lucky tries to jump off something that's even a little too high. I get that it's his house. I get that he wants to make decisions for it. But when it comes to something that affects Lucky's health and safety, it's not just his call. Or, at least it shouldn't be. Not if we're building something real here. Not if we're both in this together. It's important to say, I have explained myself, more than once. Not just to my boyfriend, but to his parents too. I've taken the time, used a calm voice, laid out the facts. I've explained why stairs are dangerous for dachshunds. I've talked about the fragility of their backs, about how even small repeated jumps can cause permanent injury or even paralysis. I've shared my own heartbreak over what happened to my previous dog and how that experience changed the way I care for Lucky now. But it's like I'm talking to a wall. His parents just dismiss it. Maybe they think I'm being overprotective. Maybe they think I'm trying to control things in their home. But the fact is, none of them have ever had a dachshund. They don't know the reality of what I'm saying. They don't know the pain of watching a dog drag its hind legs because of an injury you could have prevented. But I do. And I'm trying to stop it from happening again. So when his mom brought up the stairs in front of me the other night, so casually like it was already decided, I looked at my boyfriend. And he said, "I can't afford it." I nodded. I didn't argue. If money is the problem, okay, fine. I'll save up and buy the ramp myself. Or we can split it. I even offered that. I'm not trying to make him foot the whole bill. I just want a safe solution. But when I asked him again later, just to clarify where he stood, he didn't mention the money again. He just said, "It's cheaper." That's when something snapped a little inside me. It might be cheaper, I said, trying to keep my tone steady, but it's not safer for him. And he looked at me, this blank, tired kind of look, and said, "You're pulling strings." Pulling strings. Like I was manipulating him. Like I was trying to guilt trip him, or be dramatic, or I don't even know. That hurt in a way I wasn't expecting. I've been patient. I've explained and re-explained. I've tried not to push too hard or seem controlling. But this is not a minor thing for me. This is about my dog's health. About keeping a promise I made. About doing better than I did before. And it just feels like he's not hearing me. Like he keeps minimizing how much this means to me. This isn't the first time we've had this conversation. In fact, it's come up more than a few times over the past few months. And each time I hoped, that we were finally on the same page. That he understood where I was coming from. That even if he didn't fully get it, he respected it. But now I'm realizing maybe he doesn't. Or maybe he just doesn't care enough to push back against his parents. Or maybe he just thinks I'm being ridiculous. I'm not sure which of those is worse. And here's the thing, I know this could turn into a fight. It might be our first real one. We haven't had a big argument yet, not in the year and a half we've been together. We've had disagreements, sure, but never anything that truly tested us. But this feels like it's heading that way. And the worst part is that it's over something so stupid on the surface. A ramp. A stupid wooden ramp. But it's not about the ramp, not really. It's about respect. And being heard. And support. It's about me asking for something that protects someone I love and being brushed off over and over again. I'm not willing to budge on this. I can't. Not after what I've seen. Not when I know better. I've thought about printing out articles, actual medical studies or vet recommendations, and shoving them in his face just so he'll finally get it. I've thought about dragging out the receipts from the vet bills I paid when my old dachshund's back gave out and showing him the price of ignorance. I've even rehearsed speeches in my head, imagining the perfect combination of words that might finally break through. But I'm just so tired. I feel like I'm constantly justifying myself. Constantly trying to prove that this matters. And when someone you love keeps acting like it doesn't, it chips away at something inside you. Makes you feel small. Makes you feel like you're overreacting, even when deep down you know you're not. I don't want this to turn into a full-blown fight. I really don't. But I also don't know how to keep swallowing my frustration just to keep the peace. I shouldn't have to beg for this. I shouldn't have to prove that Lucky's safety matters. And I hate that this is turning into a wedge between us. I love him. I really do. He's kind and funny and smart in all the ways that matter. But this is something I need him to meet me on. Because if we can't align on something as simple as protecting our dogs, then what happens when bigger things come up? So now I'm just sitting with this heaviness in my chest, running out of ways to say the same thing. Waiting for him to see me. Not as dramatic, not as overprotective, but as someone who's carrying a scar and trying not to repeat the same mistakes. 4 days later, and everything feels different now. In the best possible way. After sitting with all my frustration and all those swirling emotions, I decided I couldn't just keep letting it sit there between us. I needed to talk to him again. So a few nights ago, I brought up the ramp one more time. I'd read through a lot of comments and advice online, and I took it all in, really sat with it. I realized that maybe I hadn't explained things as clearly as I thought I had, not in a way that he could truly connect with. So this time, I did it differently. I explained IVDD, intervertebral disc disease. I actually used the term this time, instead of just saying bad back or spinal issues. I told him how it's extremely common in Dachshunds, and even in Frenchies too, how it can lead to lifelong pain, nerve damage, or worse. I talked about how the simple act of jumping up and down from furniture, something that seems so harmless, can be catastrophic for certain breeds. And I admitted I'd never used the official term before, which was probably part of the disconnect. That was on me. But I also reminded him, gently, that I wasn't making this stuff up. That it comes from experience, not paranoia. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted him to understand why this one thing matters so much to me. And to his credit, he listened. He didn't get defensive. He didn't shut me down. He just listened. And then he told me the truth. It was mainly about money. And honestly, I get that. After all, he'd just taken his new little Frenchie to the vet for his first real checkup, and it turned out the poor guy needed a minor surgery, a round of antibiotics, and a handful of other treatments. The vet guessed, based on his condition, that he had most likely been living outside before my boyfriend took him in. That broke my heart a little. But it also made me realize how lucky this pup is now. How lucky he is to have someone who saw him, who brought him inside, who took responsibility even when it wasn't easy. He really is living his best life now. Being pampered, spoiled, safe. After that talk, I went hunting on Amazon and found these soft, squishy stairs that were more like a slope than actual stairs. They weren't perfect, but I was okay using them as a temporary solution. I was ready to just buy them and be done with it, or even save up for a better ramp down the line. But when I brought it up, he stopped me. He looked at me and said, "No. You wanted a ramp. We're gonna get a ramp." Just like that. No arguing. No negotiation. Just him standing by what I'd asked for, and that meant everything to me. Later that same day, he texted me that he had a surprise. I wasn't expecting anything major. Maybe a snack or something silly like he usually does when he's being cute. But when I came over, he was already waiting outside with this big grin on his face. And next to him was a gently used ramp he had found online. In fantastic condition, perfect height, sturdy as anything. It was exactly what we needed, and he got it for just $20. I honestly could have cried. I didn't realize how seen I would feel in that moment. It wasn't just about the ramp, it was about the fact that he took the time, that he heard me, that he cared enough to follow through. And he didn't just settle for a good enough fix, he made sure it was right. And now, his Frenchie is obsessed with the ramp. Like, obsessed. He's been zipping up and down it non-stop, full-speed ramp zoom eyes, and it's honestly the greatest, most hilarious thing I've ever witnessed. He's so happy, so energetic, so free in his little world now. It melts me every time I watch him. As for Lucky, well, he hasn't gotten to try it yet. We've only had one public meetup between the dogs so far, and it went really well. No major drama, a little curiosity, a few sniffs, and lots of cautious tail wagging. We're taking it slow, making sure both pups are comfortable before we mix households. For now, we're sticking to public meetings, neutral spaces, letting them build a foundation at their own pace. And it's working. Slowly but surely. We've already talked about the next few steps. How once the dogs are more familiar, we'll start having them visit each other's homes. Lucky will get to zoom up the ramp too, and I just know he's going to love it. And when he does, I'm going to remember every single bit of this. The frustration, the worry, the conversations, the compromise, and finally, the understanding. This whole thing? It could have turned into our first real fight. And in a way, it kind of almost did. But instead, it turned into something else, something better. A learning moment. A little reminder that we're still figuring each other out, and that's okay. Because we're trying. We're growing. And sometimes, growing together looks like a ramp sitting beside a tall bed, a quiet symbol of respect, trust, and love. I think we're going to be okay.